Hi guys, my name is Isin Polidari.
I'm Daryl Leo.
And my name is Francisco Lopez.
And we are Robotic Kids working with Abilities United. So Abilities United is a Palo Alto-based nonprofit that works with both children and adults who have developmental disabilities and provides them with a range of classes, recreational activities, and so forth. And so the group of participants that we're working with specifically are individuals who have some cognitive and some motor impairment. But these individuals are also artists, and despite their disabilities, they're able to create amazing drawings and paintings. And so what Abilities United tries to do for these participants is provide them with direct assistance, sometimes one-on-one assistance, and that can take the shape of a lot of different things, including what's called the hand-on-hand technique. So here you see me working with one of the participants, whose name is Maurizia, and what I'm actually doing is I'm holding the paintbrush for her to sort of stabilize it as she draws. And through this process, she's able to actually create the art, and I can sort of assist her in that process. But as you can see, there just aren't enough volunteers for each of the participants, and so some people remain unassisted. And so through our interviews and observational evidence, we found that the artists face a host of challenges, including sometimes they can't hold their art utensils as well as they would want to. They'll knock over cups of water, easels, things like that. And so our aim was to explore designs that would allow them to create their art more independently while maintaining their artistic autonomy and retaining the relationship between the volunteers and the participants, just making it, a little bit easier on the volunteers.
So after conducting some of these interviews and actually being able to volunteer at Abilities United, we had a brainstorming session that came up with some design considerations. The first was really this grip or grasping of the tools. So we noticed very quickly that our participants with motor impairment all had very unique ways in which they grasped or interacted with the tools. You can kind of see here. And so there was also this technique which Eastman mentioned called the hand-over-hand technique, which was very widely used due to the limited mobility. And this is when the volunteer actually physically holds their hand on the hand of the participant and moves it around to kind of color along the canvas. And so this, of course, requires supervision essentially 100% of the time. The second consideration here is mobility and accessibility. Our participants in wheelchairs weren't actually able to kind of access the tools that were laid out on the table in front of them. This required volunteers to kind of pass them their tools, their colors, etc. The third is supervision. So unfortunately, there's more participants than there is volunteers. So ideally, we'd have participants independently conduct their art while volunteers can kind of periodically check in, thus allowing themselves to supervise the entire lot instead of just a subset. And the fourth is collaboration. There's a relationship here between the volunteers and the participants, which we don't want to diminish. We don't want to take the volunteer out of the equation. And so we went to the whiteboard, had a couple of great brainstorming sessions and some beautiful drawings, and we realized very quickly that there was this overarching theme or common denominator in a lot of our designs. And it's this idea of trying to get a mechanical hand in this hand-over-hand technique. In essence, this is trying to constrain the hand in the z-axis. So if we could somehow fix a tool in an upright position on the canvas, allowing the participant to kind of grab hold of it and move it around in the plane, this may allow them to conduct their art in a more independent manner. And I had to show this slide because of Francisco's great design sketch abilities. And so the next thing we did was we took a look at some of the existing products. And what we found was that there's really two main subcategories. The first deals with just purely grips. And the second are these very specialized, large, customized rigs, which tend to be rather expensive. This is an actual quote here from a brochure that I found online. We also looked into the academic literature to do some research and found this really interesting article. And the punchline of this article is that if you can passively support the arm against gravity, so putting a cushion underneath the arm, say, for a user with motor impairment, in this case stroke, this can actually increase the range of motion and even reaching performance. And so we hope to take some of these considerations or design considerations into our design.
So taking all of these factors into account, the academic research, the constraining of the z-axis, our brainstorming sessions, we were able to come up with a more quantitative analysis of the projects and prototypes we were thinking of moving forward with. So here's 4 different prototypes, and we ended up going with the top 3 and ended up prototyping those. So the first one here is a mechanically linked pen, where it requires a volunteer and a participant, and so the volunteer would be sort of drawing or painting sketching something and it would be mimicked by this other pen, which would be held by the participant. Then we continued going with this constraining in the z-axis, and we came up with this interesting gantry system in which we just had this pen situated on two sliders that only allowed it to go in the X and Y direction, and all the participant had to do was grip the pen and move it around, and it would create a more independent experience. But it looks like a death trap. So we iterated it again and went to sort of an easel design and more inviting environment for them to do their art. And we ended up going with that. We called it the Tetris table because of its modularity. Basically, we have this table with an easel that has pan and tilt, and it can sort of go at different angles with an arm that is able to constrain again in the z-axis and allow the participant to take the pen and just go along the X and Y direction independently. And we also have several modular factors, including being able to take different pieces of this table and putting it in different places for the convenience of the participant. And this was our first attempt. We just tried it on Tuesday, and this was the art that they created. And it's very special for us that we have this to show, because this is the first time that a lot of these participants were able to do this independently without the hand-over-hand technique from the volunteers. And so moving forward, we would like to add the bank of bolsters for the coloring books, for the coloring handles, for the paintbrushes and all that stuff. And we would love to iterate our design with more testing and more benchmarking. So, yeah.
12 seconds left. Perfect. Our next group is Legtastic.